In 1952, I watched a man cure his own blindness, not through medicine, not through surgery, but through something far stranger. He sat in a chair, closed his eyes, and spoke directly to the intelligence living inside his cells. Within 6 weeks, his vision returned. The doctors called it spontaneous remission. I called it what it was: activation. Tonight, you're going to learn the same language. He used the one your body has been waiting to hear since the day you doubted yourself into silence. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Dr. Murphy, that sounds impossible. That sounds like magic. That sounds like something that happens to other people but never to me. And I understand that reaction because I've heard it 1,000 times. But let me ask you something. What if the only reason it sounds impossible is because you've been taught to believe in your limitations more than you've been taught to believe in your power? What if the impossible is just the unremembered? You've been taught that power is something you earn through struggle, through discipline, through worthiness. That transformation requires years of healing, years of therapy, years of working on yourself, until finally, maybe, if you're lucky, you'll be ready to access something divine. That's the lie that keeps you small. It's the lie that keeps you searching outside yourself for what's been inside you all along. This video exists to dismantle that mythology and replace it with a truth so simple it sounds dangerous. Your divine center is not a destination. It's your starting point. It's not dormant. It's not broken. It's not waiting for you to deserve it. It's active right now, responding to every word you speak in the privacy of your own mind, responding to every image you hold in your imagination, responding to every feeling you cultivate in your heart. The core pain I'm addressing tonight is this: you feel disconnected from your own power because you've been conditioned to seek it outside yourself in validation from others, in achievement, in perfection, in someone else's approval. You've been taught that you're incomplete and that life is about becoming complete. But what if you're already whole? What if the only work required is to remember that wholeness and stop arguing with it? The unique insight you'll walk away with is this: activation isn't about adding something new to your life. It's about removing the interference, the false beliefs, the self-rejection, the exhausting performance of being not enough. When you stop arguing with your divinity, it floods your life with intelligence, creativity, and effortless alignment. What makes this different from typical self-help is that I'm not asking you to fix yourself. I'm asking you to stop pretending you're broken. There's no 10-step program here. No moralism. No shaming. Just a direct transmission from my heart to yours. You are already whole. Now speak like it. Now feel like it. Now live like it. Let me tell you a story. There was once a master sculptor, a man renowned across the land for creating statues so lifelike that people would stop and stare, convinced they were looking at frozen human beings. One day, a young apprentice came to him and asked, "Master, how do you create such beauty? What is your secret? What technique do you use that makes your work so much more alive than everyone else's?" The master smiled and walked the boy over to a massive block of marble sitting in the corner of his workshop. He placed his hand on the stone and said, "I don't create anything. The form is already inside the stone. The statue is already there, complete and perfect. I just remove what doesn't belong." This is the essence of activation. Your divine center is not something you build from scratch. It's not something you construct piece by piece through effort and willpower. It's something you uncover by chipping away the false identities, the inherited fears, the voices that aren't yours, the beliefs you absorbed from a world that was afraid of its own power. Think about this for a moment. Really think about it. What if you're not incomplete? What if you never were? What if every moment of your life when you felt like something was missing, you were actually standing on top of the treasure, wondering why you felt poor? We live in a society that profits from your sense of inadequacy. Every advertisement, every magazine cover, every social media post is designed to make you feel like you're not enough as you are. You need this product. You need this course. You need this relationship. You need this achievement. And then, maybe then, you'll finally be worthy of happiness. But that's the game. That's the trap. Because no matter how much you add to yourself, No matter how much you accomplish or acquire, if you're operating from the belief that you're incomplete, you'll always feel incomplete. You'll always be searching for the next thing that will finally make you whole. The truth is, the work is subtraction, not addition. You don't need more knowledge. You don't need more healing modalities. You don't need more books or seminars or certifications. What you need is to remove the layers of conditioning that have convinced you that you're separate from the divine intelligence that created you. So if you're already whole, why does it feel like something's missing? That's the question, isn't it? That's the paradox that keeps people trapped for decades. And the answer is this. It feels like something's missing because you've been hypnotized into believing it's missing. You've accepted a suggestion from the world around you, and that suggestion has become your reality. Your subconscious mind is infinitely suggestible. It accepts what you tell it. It doesn't argue. It doesn't question. It simply says, "Yes, sir," or "Yes, ma'am," and begins to create that reality in your experience. When you say, "I'm not good enough," your subconscious doesn't defend you. It doesn't say, "Wait, that's not true." It says, "Understood. Not good enough. I'll make sure your life reflects that." And it does. This brings me to another story. A true story that changed the way I understood the power of the human mind forever. I once worked with a woman whose body was ravaged by illness. The doctors had given her months to live. They'd done everything they could. Surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, and nothing had worked. The cancer had spread. Her body was shutting down. Everyone around her was preparing for the end. But this woman, she was different. She wasn't interested in preparing for the end. She was interested in living. And she had heard about the power of the subconscious mind, the power of mental imagery, the power of speaking to your body as though it were intelligent because it is. So every night, after everyone else had gone to bed, she would lie in her bed in the darkness, and she would close her eyes, and she would speak to her body, not to a distant God in the sky, not to some external force. She spoke directly to the intelligence within her cells, the same intelligence that had built her body from a single fertilized egg, the same intelligence that healed her cuts without her thinking about it, the same intelligence that made her heart beat and her lungs breathe while she slept. She would say, "Thank you for healing me. Thank you for the perfect health that is now expressing through every cell of my body. I know you know how to heal me. I trust you completely. You are divine intelligence, and I am so grateful for the wholeness that is mine now." And here's the important part. She didn't speak these words as a desperate plea. She didn't beg. She didn't bargain. She spoke them with absolute certainty, as though she were simply stating facts. She spoke to her body the way you might speak to a beloved child, with tenderness, with respect, with unwavering faith. She did this every night for 4 months. And at the Passus Prus, end of 4 months, she went back to the hospital for her scans. The doctors couldn't believe what they were seeing. The tumors had vanished. Completely. There was no trace of cancer anywhere in her body. They used words like spontaneous remission and medical anomaly, and we don't understand what happened. But she understood. She understood perfectly. She hadn't healed herself through force or through some mystical power that only special people possess. She had activated the creative intelligence already present in her cells by treating it like the conscious collaborator it is. She stopped arguing with life. She stopped treating her body like an enemy that had betrayed her. She started treating it like a friend, like a partner, like an extension of divine intelligence itself. When I asked her how she felt about the whole experience, she smiled this quiet, almost humorous smile, and she said, "I just stopped arguing with life. That's all. I stopped fighting reality and started directing it instead." Now let me ask you, what would happen if you stopped treating your mind like an enemy and started treating it like a divine instrument? What would happen if you stopped arguing with the intelligence within you and started collaborating with it? Most people go through their entire lives at war with themselves. They hate their bodies. They criticize their minds. They tell themselves they're stupid, ugly, unworthy, broken, and then they wonder why life feels like such a struggle. They wonder why nothing seems to work out for them. They wonder why other people seem to have it easier. But it's not that other people have it easier. It's that some people, consciously or unconsciously, have learned to stop fighting themselves. They've learned to stop pouring poison into their own minds. They've learned the language their subconscious understands, the language of assumption, of feeling, of acceptance. Let me give you another image, another way of understanding this. Imagine a fire that never needs fuel. A fire that burns on its own nature. That's your divine center. You didn't light it. You can't extinguish it. You can only acknowledge it or ignore it. Most people spend their lives piling wet wood on top of this fire. They pile on doubt. They pile on fear. They pile on comparison and shame and guilt and unworthiness. And then they wonder why they feel cold. They wonder why they feel lifeless. They wonder why they can't seem to get warm no matter what they do. Activation is just the moment you step back and let the fire breathe. You stop smothering it. You stop drowning it in negativity and self-doubt. You simply step back and let it do what it was always meant to do. Burn brightly, illuminate your path, warm your life. This fire is your birthright. It's not something you have to earn. It's not something reserved for saints, or mystics, or people who've meditated in caves for 30 years. It's yours. It's been yours since before you took your first breath. The only question is, are you going to let it breathe, or are you going to keep smothering it? Now, if you've always had this fire, what's been blocking it? What's been keeping you from experiencing the full power of your divine center? The answer is both simple and complex, and it requires us to go deep into how the mind actually works. Your subconscious mind is not neutral. This is the first thing you need to understand. It's not just some storage unit in your brain where memories and habits are kept. It's not a computer waiting for you to input the right program. Your subconscious mind is conscious intelligence. It's responsive. It's creative. It's infinitely generous. And it's absolutely impersonal. What do I mean by impersonal? I mean it doesn't care whether you're using it for good or for harm. It doesn't care whether your beliefs are true or false. It doesn't judge your commands. It simply accepts them and goes to work, creating that reality in your experience. Most teachings treat the subconscious like a machine. I'm telling you it's divine. It's the same intelligence that grows flowers from seeds, that turns food into energy, that orchestrates the movement of planets and stars. This intelligence is within you, and it's listening to you every moment of every day. When you say, "I'm not good enough," it doesn't argue with you. It doesn't say, "Oh, that's just low self-esteem talking." It says, "Yes, sir, not good enough. I'll arrange circumstances to confirm that belief." And then you experience rejection. You experience failure. You experience situations that seem to prove you were right all along. But when you say, "I am divinely guided. I am filled with creative intelligence. Everything I need comes to me at the perfect time," your subconscious responds with the same fidelity. It says, "Yes, ma'am. Divinely guided. I'll arrange synchronicities, intuitive nudges, and perfect timing to confirm that belief." And then you experience guidance. You experience flow. You experience what some people call luck, but what you'll recognize as law. This isn't psychology. This is metaphysics. This is the science of mind and spirit, the understanding that your inner world creates your outer world, that consciousness is primary and matter is secondary. Now, here's where most people get tripped up. They hear about the power of positive thinking, and they try it for a week or two. They repeat affirmations in the mirror. They try to think positive thoughts. And when nothing changes, they conclude that it doesn't work. They conclude that maybe it works for other people, but not for them. They conclude that they're the exception to the rule. But the reason positive affirmations fail for so many people is because they're layering them on top of deeper convictions of unworthiness. It's like trying to paint a wall without cleaning it first. The paint won't stick. It'll peel right off. You can't just say, "I am prosperous," when your deep inner conviction is, "I don't deserve money. Money is evil. Rich people are greedy. Those deeper beliefs will win every time. They're like roots. And the affirmations are like flowers you're trying to stick in the ground without planting seeds. You have to go deeper than words. You have to go into feeling belief. You have to cultivate the feeling of already being what you desire to be. You have to impress your subconscious mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, as I've said many times before. Not the words. Not the hope. Not the wish. The feeling of already having it. Already being it. Already living it. This is why prayer works, when it's done from rest and not from desperation. Desperation says, "Please fix me, I'm broken, I'm lacking. I need you to change my circumstances because I can't do it myself." Rest says, "I am already whole. I am already provided for. I am already divinely guided. Thank you for the manifestation of this truth in my experience." Do you see the difference? One is begging from a place of lack. The other is thanking from a place of fulfillment. And your subconscious mind responds not to your words but to the state you're in when you speak those words. This brings me to another profound truth, one that might challenge everything you've been taught. Activation happens in stillness, not in striving. We live in a culture that worships effort. We believe that the harder we work, the more we deserve. We believe that we have to earn everything through blood, sweat, and tears. And while there's value in action, there's something even more valuable that most people never discover: the power of assumption. The divine center cannot be muscled into existence. You cannot force it. You cannot chase it down. You cannot earn your way to it through sheer willpower. You access it by relaxing into knowing, not by forcing yourself into becoming. This is why prayer works when it's done from rest, not desperation. Desperation is effort. Desperation is resistance. Desperation says, "I don't have it, and I need it, and I'm afraid I'll never get it." Rest says, "It's already mine. I'm simply allowing it to manifest in physical form." Think about it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, do you dig it up every day to check if it's growing? Do you yell at it? Do you try to force it to sprout faster? Of course not. You plant the seed, you water it, and then you trust the intelligence within that seed to do what it was designed to do. You rest in the knowing that growth is inevitable. Your divine center works the same way. You impress it with your desire, you feel the reality of it, and then you rest in the knowing that it's already done. You don't need to figure out how. You don't need to manipulate circumstances. You don't need to control every detail. You simply assume it's done, and let the creative intelligence within you arrange the means. But here's the paradox that stops most people. How can doing nothing be more powerful than frantic action? How can rest be more productive than effort? The answer is this: effort creates resistance. Assumption creates manifestation. When you're efforting, you're admitting you don't have it. You're confirming lack. You're telling your subconscious, "I don't have this thing I want, so I need to work really hard to get it." And your subconscious says, "Understood. You don't have it. I'll make sure your experience continues to reflect that." But when you assume you already have it, when you rest in that assumption, you're telling your subconscious, "This is already done. This is already mine. I'm just waiting for it to show up in physical form." And your subconscious says, "Understood. It's already yours. I'll arrange circumstances to confirm that." This is not laziness. This is not passivity. This is the most powerful form of action that exists. Mental action. Inner action. The rearranging of your inner world, so that your outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match. Now, let me share with you another truth that might sound strange at first, but stay with me because this could change everything for you. You are not receiving guidance. You are the guidance. Most people pray for guidance. They ask God or the universe, or their higher self to show them the way. They wait for signs. They wait for synchronicities. They wait for someone outside themselves to tell them what to do. But here's what I've discovered after decades of studying the mind and spirit. Your divine center doesn't send you messages from afar. It is the intelligence speaking through your intuition, through your sudden insights, through your inexplicable knowings. When you have a gut feeling about something, That's not just random neurons firing. That's divine intelligence communicating through you. When you have a sudden idea that seems to come out of nowhere, that's not luck. That's the creative power within you responding to your desires and your questions. But most people dismiss these inner nudges. They say, "Oh, that's just me. That's just my imagination. That's not real guidance." And in dismissing it, they sever the connection. They shut down the channel. They tell their divine center, "I don't trust you. I need someone else to validate this before I'll believe it." And so they wait. And they ask for signs. And they pray for guidance. All while the guidance is right there, whispering in their own voice, showing up as their own thoughts and feelings and intuitions. The line between you and God is thinner than a whisper. In fact, it may not exist at all. What you call God, I call the infinite intelligence within you. What you call the universe, I call your own subconscious mind connected to the one universal mind. What you call guidance, I call your own divine nature expressing itself. This isn't blasphemy. This is the highest truth. You are not separate from God. You are an expression of God. You are a unique individualization of the one infinite intelligence. And that means you have access to all the wisdom, all the creativity, all the power that exists. But you have to stop treating yourself like you're just a human trying to connect with something divine out there. You have to start recognizing that you are the divine expressing itself in human form. And when you do that, everything changes. This leads us to another fundamental principle, one that might be hard to accept at first because it places full responsibility on you. The world reflects your inner state, not the other way around. Most people believe that they feel the way they do because of what's happening in their lives. They think, "Of course I'm anxious. Look at my financial situation. Of course I'm lonely. Look at my relationships. Of course I'm stuck. Look at my circumstances." But this is backwards. This is the fundamental misunderstanding that keeps people trapped in suffering for their entire lives. Your outer circumstances are a mirror, not a cause. They're reflecting back to you the inner convictions you hold, the beliefs you've accepted, the images you've been dwelling on in your imagination. You don't fix your life by changing the outside. You don't create lasting transformation by rearranging your circumstances. You change the outside by rearranging your inner convictions. You change your life by changing your mind. Your divine center is the architect. Your life is the blueprint made visible. If you don't like what you're seeing, stop trying to rearrange the furniture. Change the blueprint. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're struggling financially. You never seem to have enough money. Bills are piling up. You're stressed. You're worried. You're working hard, but nothing seems to change. Most people in this situation would focus on the external. I need a better job. I need a raise. I need to win the lottery. I need someone to help me. And they might take action toward those things, which is fine. Action is necessary. But if the inner blueprint hasn't changed, if the deep inner conviction is still, "I'm poor. Money is hard to come by. I'm not worthy of abundance," then no external action will create lasting change. You might get a raise, and then an unexpected expense will eat it up. You might get a new job, and then get laid off. You might receive money, and then immediately spend it on emergencies. Because your subconscious mind is working to confirm your inner beliefs, not your external wishes. But if you change the blueprint, if you start dwelling on the feeling of financial security, if you start assuming you're divinely provided for, if you start thanking your subconscious for abundance before it shows up, then your outer world has to change. It has no choice. Because the inner is always primary, and the outer is always secondary. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. This is how consciousness works. You can't see it with your physical eyes, but it's more real than anything you can see. The invisible always precedes the visible. The inner always creates the outer. The subjective always becomes objective. And here's another truth that might sound impossible but is absolutely true. Activation is instantaneous. But your belief in time delays it. The moment you accept a new truth as true, it's done. In that instant, in that moment of acceptance, the creative intelligence within you goes to work orchestrating circumstances, arranging synchronicities, bringing people and opportunities into your path. The lag you experience between assumption and manifestation is only your faith in delay, your belief that it takes time for change to come. What if it doesn't? What if the universe responds now, and you're the one asking it to wait? Think about this carefully. When you plant a seed, you don't see the tree immediately. But the moment that seed touches the soil, the process has begun. The intelligence within that seed is already working, already growing, already moving toward the inevitable expression of the tree. Your assumptions are seeds, your feelings are water and sunlight, your faith is the soil, and the tree, the manifestation, the demonstration, the evidence is already on its way the moment you plant the seed. But most people plant the seed and then immediately dig it up to check if it's growing. They assume something good, and then spend the rest of the day worrying whether it's going to happen. They feel wealthy for 5 minutes, and then spend 5 hours thinking about their bills. And every time you return to the old thought, the old feeling, the old assumption, you're digging up the seed, you're starting over. You're telling your subconscious, never mind, that's not real. This painful reality is what's real. Time is a cushion for doubt. If you had absolute faith, manifestation would be instant. But because you have doubt, because you have fear, because you've been trained to believe in delay, you experience time between assumption and manifestation. This isn't a problem. Time is a gift. It allows you to practice, to refine your assumptions, to build your faith gradually. But understand that the delay is not in the creative process. The delay is in your acceptance. The moment you truly accept something as true, not hope for it, not wish for it, but accept it, as an already accomplished fact, it will manifest. It must. Because that's the law. Now, I want to give you some practical ways to work with this divine center, some simple practices that you can begin using immediately. Because understanding these principles is valuable, but applying them is where transformation actually happens. The first practice I want to share with you is what I call the 5-minute divine conversation. This is something you can do every morning when you wake up, or every night before you go to sleep. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works. Here's what you do. Sit quietly in a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths to settle your body and quiet your mind, and then speak directly to your subconscious mind as if it were a trusted, infinitely intelligent friend. You might say something like this: I know you hear me. I know you're listening. I know you're responding to every word I speak and every feeling I cultivate. I trust you completely. I know you're always working for my good, always arranging circumstances in my favor, always guiding me toward the highest expression of my life. Show me today that I am divinely guided. Show me that I am divinely protected. Show me that I am divinely creative. Thank you for the perfect unfoldment of my life. Now, here's the key. Don't beg. Don't repeat anxiously. Don't plead. Speak once with full conviction, with absolute certainty, as though you're simply stating facts. And then release it. Let it work. Most people pray the same prayer 50 times a day, because they don't trust that it was heard the first time. But excessive repetition comes from doubt, not faith. If you truly believed your subconscious heard you and accepted your words, you wouldn't need to repeat them endlessly. You would state them once with conviction and then move forward in faith. This doesn't mean you can't pray or speak to your subconscious multiple times. It means that each time you do, it should come from certainty, not desperation. From trust, not fear. From thanksgiving, not begging. The second practice is what I call the identity script rewrite. This is a powerful technique for changing the deep beliefs that are running your life, often without your conscious awareness. Here's how you do it. Take a piece of paper and write down one belief you've been carrying that no longer serves you. Be honest. Write something like, I am not smart enough, or I am not attractive, or I don't deserve love, or money is hard to come by. Look at that belief. Really look at it. Recognize that it's just a suggestion you accepted at some point in your past. Maybe someone said it to you. Maybe you observed it in your environment. Maybe you concluded it based on painful experiences. But it's not truth. It's just a belief. And beliefs can be changed. Now, directly beneath that old belief, write the truth you're activating. Write something like, I am filled with divine intelligence that flows effortlessly through me. Or, I am attractive, magnetic, and radiant. Or, I am worthy of deep, unconditional love, or money flows to me easily and abundantly. Read this new statement aloud 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night. But don't just read it mechanically. Feel it. Inhabit it. Imagine what your life would look like if this were absolutely true. Let yourself feel the relief, the joy, the freedom of being this new version of yourself. Your subconscious mind will accept the last impression made on it most deeply. So if you read your new statement in the morning but then spend the rest of the day dwelling on the old belief wins. But if you consistently return to the new statement, if you repeatedly impress it on your subconscious with feeling and conviction, it will eventually replace the old belief. This isn't just affirmation. This is identity surgery. You're not hoping to become this. You're not trying to become this. You're declaring that you already are this, and you're allowing your outer life to catch up with your inner knowing. The third practice is what I call the stillness posture. This is perhaps the most simple practice, but it's also the most profound. Once a day, sit in complete stillness for 5 minutes. No meditation app. No guided visualization. No mantra. No music. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be. Let your divine center reveal itself in the quiet. It will come as peace. It will come as clarity. It will come as a sudden